Hello friends, welcome to the second video in the series of building the massively printed CNC machine. In the first video we talked about the general information you should know before start building your own machine. In this video I'm going to show you everything I have prepared for my build, and it will be as a repeating for what we talked about previously. After that I will start assembling the frame. As you can see behind me on the table, you will find all the items and the pieces I'm going to use in my build. In the first video we talked about the tubes and I mentioned to pay attention to the outer diameter of the tube before you start printing the 3D printed parts. This time I want to mention 2 points. The first point, as in the official website of the machine, in the conduit page, the tubes that will be the Z-axis rails, 2 holes must be drilled in these tubes, as the following figure, and the diameter of these holes will be from 5 to 8 millimeter. We will use these holes later when installing the tool mount piece. The second point is specific to my machine because its size is large, so the tubes are long and need supporting in the middle. So I drilled the tubes from now to prepare them for the supporting later. As you can see, I have printed the supporting mechanism. I found it on the Thingiverse website. I will share all the links in the description box below. The plastic parts, I have printed them from the PLA filament as available in my hand, so don't bother with the colors. I mentioned in the previous video the pieces and the holes may come a little narrow according to your 3D printer accuracy. For me, I widened the narrow holes by using the drill bit with the diameter 3, 4 and 8 millimeter suitable for each hole. And I also sanded several pieces to fit the tube. They came a little narrow, as I said, so with a little sanding it fit perfectly. It is preferable to check all the holes in every part from now to ensure that you can work easily, so you don't have to install the parts more than once. For the bolts and nuts, I'm using the metric system. There is no much different from the Imperial. Bearings, pulleys, the T8 lead screw are all as mentioned in the parts page of the official website of the machine. For the belts, I will use a 10 millimeter width belt instead of the 6 millimeter belt to prevent stretching if it happened. And this is the 10 millimeter I'm going to use. So you will find a slight difference between my machine and the basic design when installing the bearing in the rulers. Of course, I hope that I will not have problems with this adjustment. For the motors and the electronics, I will do a separate video about them and the wiring after finishing the frame. I want to mention these pieces. This piece is to lock the M4 nuts in place. If you are using the imperial bolts, you do not need them. But like me, if you are using the metric bolts, the hexagonal hole for the M4 nuts in many plastic parts, as you can see, the hexagonal hole do not hold the M4 nut. So by using this piece, the nut will hold in place very well. I printed them as a group using the raft in the sitting. We just hold them and using the pillar to hold them in place. It is a little tricky, but by patience you will do the job. As for the tools that we will use in the assembling, I think that most of those who want to enter the world of this machine have all the necessary tools, and also I made a simple adapter because I'm going to use this electrical screwdriver. So to speed up the process a little, I designed this adapter to tighten the M8 bolts. Also for the Allen key instead of the Allen key to tighten the M4 bolt. I also designed some pieces to suit the modifications I made by using the 10mm width belt. I'm going to share it with you if it works well. As you see, those are the all parts and items that we are going to use. So enough words, and let's start the assembling party. To assemble the frame, we will start with the easiest parts, which are the feet. For each foot, we will need a piece of tube, the foot part, and one 20mm M4 bolt. Of course, I'm going to use the plastic lock for the M4 nuts in the hexagonal hole. Start by putting the tube into the foot part. And put the M4 nut in the hexagonal hole. And put the bolt into the nut and tighten it. Be careful to not over tighten the bolt so the plastic part does not break. Just make the tube do not move easily. Repeat the process for the rest to get a set of 4 equal feet. As you can see in this part, the plastic part did reach the maximum tighten, but the foot or the tube are still moving freely. I'm going to do something for that. I will put this masking tape. I'm using it on the heated bed in my 3D printer. It will give a little of thickness to the tube, so it may fit. Yes, it did the work. Yeah. That's it for the feet. Be sure that the tube is touching the table. The corners are also four corners, and they will be assembled in two stages. For the first stage, we will need for each corner to the bottom corner part or its mirror, and the lock corner part or its mirror, and one 20mm M4 bolt. First, I want to mention some point here. As for the type of the bullet head, when I bought the bullets, I didn't really care about it. But in this particular piece, the bullet's head must be some concave or conical type, not from this flat type. As you can see here, this flat head is obstructing the tube stability in place. So it is really higher than it should be. And since I don't have a 20mm bullet from this conical or convex head, I'm sorry, I don't know the standard name for the bullets, but the point here is this type is staying in place and do not obstruct the stability of the tube. So the tube is staying stable in place. Those bolts are a little longer than 20mm. I think they are 30 or maybe 40mm. But in this case, it really don't matter because the bolt at the end will go to the hollow of the foot. So it don't matter how long the bolt is. So I'm not using this bullet now. I'm going to use this longest one, but suitable head. Back to the corner assembling. Match bottom corner part with the lock corner part. All the pieces are going to match, but there is a code letter on the part. It should match. So this piece doesn't match because the code letter is in the opposite side. This part has the same code letter in the same side, so this is the perfect part for each other. Match the two parts together and put the bolt from the from the bottom corner part. This is the bottom corner part, this is the lock corner part. Put the bolt from this side and put the nuts from this side. In this part you don't need these lock pieces. A normal nut is working. Because the nuts are favored, as you can see, so the bolt is a little longer. I'm facing some difficulty. I'm going to catch it with a pillar. We are not going to tighten it too much. Always remember you are working with the plastic. Repeat the process to the rest part to get 4 corners. As you see, we had completed the assembling of the first stage of the corners. If you are wondering why the letter code is here, I think because when you placing the corner in the machine in the final stage, this hexagonal hole it will be insideward. So it could be in this shape. So the both hexagonal holes will be inside. We are going to assemble the corners with the feet. We will combine each foot with a corner to get one leg. We will need one 20 millimeter M4 bolt for each leg. Also, I'm going to use the M4 nut lock piece here. Put the free end of the tube into the lock corner piece and put one knot into the hexagonal hole in the lock corner and insert the M4 bolt from the other side. Here we are not going to tighten it to the end. Left it loosen for adjusting the frame perpendicularity later. So we are going to tighten a bit. Repeat the process for the rest pieces to get a set of 4 legs. The second stage for the corners will be when we assemble them with the rails. For now we will leave them aside and we will return to them later. For the rulers, first I will show you the standard assembly of the ruler as it is in the original design of the machine. And then I will assemble the ruler again according to my modification. We have 4 ruler sets, and the standard assembly of the ruler is when you will use a 6 mm belt and the length of the tubes within the limits of the designer's recommendation. In this case, for each ruler we will need a ruler piece or its mirror, 3 30 mm M8 bolts, 2 60 mm M8 bolts with 7 bearings and a ruler plate or its mirror for each ruler set. The ruler, according to its position in the machine, has a top section and a bottom section. Start with the bottom section. Insert a 30 mm M8 bolt into the hole of the ruler from the flat side to the end. Put one bearing into the bolt, then put the nuts. Tight it well. As you see, there is no rocking in the bearing and it rotates well. Repeat the process for the remaining 2 bolts. Do not exaggerate the tightening to avoid cracking the plastic. For the upper section, we will start with the two 60mm bolts. Insert them from the flat side of the ruler plate to the end. Then put one bearing into each bolt. Then insert the 2 bolts into the ruler, just about 10mm of the bolt. From the single bolt side, which will be the punched side of the hole, not the flat side. Here also pay attention that the ruler plate, the flat side of the ruler plate is facing upward and the concave side is facing downward. Rotate the ruler 180 degree and insert the bearing into each inner pocket of the ruler. Complete the inserting of the 60mm M8 bolt to the end and put the nuts. Tight these 2 nuts just about they touch the plastic. Leave them a little loose for the controlling process later. Repeat the process for the remaining rulers to get 4 ruler sets. That was the standard ruler. You can bypass the coming section if you want, because I am going to assemble the ruler according to my modification, where, as I said, I will use a belt with 10mm width. So as you can see, it not sits on the single bearing, so I will put another bearing here, and also I'm going to use supporting for the tubes, so I'm afraid that the supporting will hit the bolts, the nuts here, so I'm going to rotate this switch. The bolt head will be under the roller. To assemble the ruler according to my modification, we will need the ruler piece or its mirror, three 30mm M8 bolts, two 70mm M8 bolts, 9 bearing, one ruler plate or its mirror, and 2 spacers. I also will start with the bottom section of the ruler. First, put one bearing into the 30mm M8 bolt. Then insert the bolt from the punch side of the ruler hole to the end. Then put the nut and tighten it. Repeat the process for the remaining 2 bolts in the bottom section. For the upper section, insert the 2 70mm M8 bolt from the flat side of the ruler plate. Then put 2 bearings in each bolt. Then put 1 spacer so that the punch side of the spacer is facing the bearing. And we will insert the 2 bolts into the ruler's hole, also from the punch side, which will be the single bolt side. As you see, the spacer will fit in place. Rotate the ruler 180 degrees and insert the bearing into the inner pocket of the ruler. Complete the inserting of the bolt to the end and put the remaining 2 M8 nuts. Be aware that the flat side of the ruler plate is facing upward and the concave side is facing downward. I'm going to tighten them just a little, that the nut will touch the plastic. As you see, this is the assembling according to my modification, where 2 bearing will be better for seating the 10mm width belt, and also as a comparison, if you can see, so the ruler will not hit the supporting of the tube. I want to mention 2 points here. Be aware that the M8 nuts are not closing the pocket holes designed for the M4 nuts that will be used later to assemble the roller mount piece. Otherwise, if the M8 nuts are closing it, put the M4 nuts from now to avoiding reassembling the roller because of it will be closed later. The second point I want, if you are wondering why this is a different roller plate from this one, if you are going to buy the set, the electronic kit from the designer in the official website, you will have some kind of end stop which are small, and the designer made this roller plate suitable for that small end stop. But for me, I got this end stop switch which have some board with it, so it didn't fit in any way on the old roller plate. I searched the Thingiverse and find that there is another design which is a remix from the original design, but it fit this kind of end stops. I'm going to repeat the process to the rest of the rulers. Of course, I am going to disassemble this. Also, I want to mention that because I am going to use two bearings side by side, I did make this sleeve, kind of sleeves, to hold the bearing together. I think it will be more practical when the belt will run on it. First, I'm doing some cleaning for the bearings. They came a little oily. And do unassembling the standard ruler to assemble it again according to my modification. I'm putting the bearings and the nuts in the bottom section for the 3 ruler. Now I'm putting two bearing in each slave. Also I'm undoing the upper section of the first ruler to put the bearing to the slaves. Now I'm trying to put the parts in some order, to not doing something by mistake. And I first started to put the bearings and the bolts for the upper section in the ruler plate. Now I'm continuing to assembling the upper section of the rulers. If you notice, I'm trying to keep the parts in order in their last position on the frame of the machine, just to be sure that all the ruler plate in the right direction. And after making sure of everything, I'm tightening the bullets. As you see, now we have four rulers. Two of them will be for the X axis, and the other will be for the Y axis. I'm going to check the movement of the ruler on the rails by using the tubes. This tube is for the Z axis, but it is shorter than the actual one. I'm going to use it for controlling. When you inserting the tube to the rulers, you will face a little tension that is necessary to ensure that all the bearings are touching the tube. When you are going to move the bearing, you will find that the tube is moving too. Also, you can check the movement of the ruler just by letting it to slide only depending on its weight. So this ruler is a good one. There is no racking in the movement. Testing the other one also. As there is a little, you can see there is some friction more than the first one, but I think nothing serious here. Also, there is no racking. If you faced some tension or the movement was not good enough, control the bearing that all of them are moving freely. As you see, this is a little loose. I'm going to tighten it. It's much worse now, but you can see that those are tightened now. I'm going to as you see, the bolts are rotate freely if there is no tube inside the roller. After inserting the tube, they are much tighter, so this could be what's holding the roller from the movement. I'm going to lose them a little. Of course, you can do this controlling on the final assembling of the frame, but I'm doing it from now. It's a little better. We still have some tightening here. Better now. I'm going to leave it just like this, because if I'm losing it more than so, they will not catching the fiber in the bullet, and that's wrong. This is good for the movement. All the 3 bearings are touching it. The last one. There is too much tension. As you see, the ruler is not moving at all. there is one bearing not moving, but maybe first I'm going to loosen these two bolts to see what we will get. It's a little better. It's still not moving freely. I think this bearing is not good one. I'm going to replace it. As you see, I can't, as you see, I cannot rotate it like this. It's moved freely outside, but maybe the plastic is touching something. I'm going to change it. Don't forget to put the spacer. Let's see. There's still some tension. It's better than before. It may be the ruler itself have some warping in some place, I don't know. Maybe losing someone of these. Maybe losing one of those would help. Yeah, definitely. Yes. It's better. I will leave it like this. That's it all for the ruler now. As I said, I'm going to put them in the actual rails and find the movement on them. Now this is the supporting parts. The smaller one will come direct on the tube and the bigger over it. And this is the position it will be on the tube. I'm doing this stage of supporting from now. It's easier for me. Also, I'm using only one bullet for fixing the part to the tube. It was very difficult for me drilling this stainless steel tube. So I just drilled one hole in each tube. Now I'm putting the ruler to the tube and I'll show you the movement of the ruler. It's not hitting the supporting and move freely. I will do controlling the movement after putting the rails on the legs. Also, I'm putting the rails in order to not put the rails on any wrong place. Now we are going to distribute the four legs that we put them aside on the four corner of the table, paying attention that the flat section of the bump in the bottom corner piece is facing outward, and the angle section is facing inward and to the outer side of the table. So it will be something like this. So in the four corners of the table, the legs position will be like this. These bumps will be used to attach the belt to them, and the four legs now in this position is determining a direction of one rail. For me, it will be the y-axis rail. As I said, I'm going to distribute the four legs to the four corner of the table, and I'm going to place the Y rails on them. The X and Y are the same length in my machine, so it doesn't matter which rail I'm choosing. What really matter here is to pay attention that the roller plate piece is facing outside of the table, and the place where the end stop switch will be mounted to is facing to the point you had planned to. Because the camera is shooting a wide angle, so I'm not sure if everything is clear. First, I'm going to show you as an example for what I'm going to do in the next step. I just planned how this top corner piece should be in the last position on the machine. As you can see, the flat section of the top corner piece on this knob is facing outward and the angle is facing inward. The opposite part also as the same. This will be used, as we said, to mount the belt to them. So the four corner shape will be like this. First, I'm going to put the corner spacer on the tube in the corner. After that, I will put the X-rail tube on that, and later I will put the top corner piece on top of that, so the finish form of the corner will be in this shape. Also pay attention to the ruler plate piece, and the end stop place will be facing outside the machine and to the point you had planned to be. As you can see, this is the correct position for the rails and the direction of the roller plate and the end stop switch. Also, as an example, I will show you what I'm going to do in the coming step. We are going to put the four 20mm M4 bolts into the holes. The bolt will the bolt go through the hole from the top, and the nut with the lock piece will come beneath of that. Because the frame is not stable in this moment, I'm going just to fix one bolt in each corner. Later I will do the three remaining bolts. It's much stable now. I'm going to do the last positioning for the legs and the wheels. Of course, I will do the last measuring in the next step. Just placing the legs in much suitable position. I'm afraid that everything is falling down. Yes, just like that. I'm continuing to put the remaining three bolts for each corner. We must leave them loose for controlling the frame perpendicularity later, when we are going to taking the final measurement and controlling the frames. So I'm not tightening it to the end. Yes, that's it. Now take the measurements and adjust them and work to make the length of all tubes match with each other as much as possible. Also control the perpendicularity of the frame by matching the diagonals of the frame. After making sure all the lengths match, we can tighten the bolts that we previously left loose in the top corner piece. Also in the lock corner. Of course, making sure of the measurements from time to time. We can nail the legs with the table at this point to ensure that the machine stay firm and stable while we are going to control the perpendicularity. First, fix two legs to the table, and depending on them do the measurements and fix the other two. Of course, take your time and make it accurate as much as possible. We are going to do the controlling of the frame and perpendicularity later after assembling the center gantry. That's it for this video. I'm sorry that it came a little long, but my goal was to do every step and take the time, and if there is problems or any mistakes, I did my best to solve them. If you like the video, please like and share, and if you didn't subscribe yet, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified for the coming videos. If you have any question or a comment, leave them in the comment, and I will be glad to answer you as soon as possible. Thank you for your patience. Thank you again for watching. See you in the next video.